Look, so we've all seen over the last couple of days, Francis Ngannou and John Jones have been flirting. They've been flirting quite a lot online. This ain't Tinder, it's Twitter. And with all of these flirtatious words being sent back and forth, they had been trying to schedule a date not to fuck, but to fight. I'll read some of these tweets that John Jones he had a flurry of tweets last night, and I'll go through them. So the first one, currently in negotiations with the UFC as we speak. We all got a semi. Unbelievable. What's going on here? Are we still excited? Are we not? The next one, before even discussing numbers, the UFC was unwilling to pay more for the Francis Super fight for me to move to heavyweight, so I could possibly earn more in pay-per-view buys. Boner goes down. Someone asked him, isn't legacy more important than money? His response, honestly, no, not in this stage of my career. I could retire today. I've already done my job. I've given the company over a decade of entertainment. You've also given them over a decade of headache. But let's not talk about that just yet. It's been fun. It's been fun, you guys. Maybe I'll see you all in a year or two. So there he kind of threatened a hiatus from the sport. Then he goes, maybe when they're ready to do better business, I'll come back. Until then, health, fitness, and family. Next tweet. I should have worded that differently. I actually think these guys do great business. Right now, things just aren't where I want them to be. So it seems like Malky Kawa or someone like that probably had a word in his ear and made him take that back. Then he said, red panty night for the light heavyweight for the light heavyweight division. It's quite funny, basically, that Conor McGregor made that red panty night comment. It just seems like it was off the cuff. It's not like he wrote it down or rehearsed it. And now when people use that phrase, it's something that we all understand what it means. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just find it funny that, something like that, a phrase like that, has basically become part of the MMA vernacular. So effectively what he's saying there, red panty night for the light heavyweight division, is I'm staying in this division, so whoever fights me gets paid. And then the next bit, I've had some time to think about it, and I'm at a loss. Sorry, let me start again. I've had some time to think about it, and I'm a lot less emotional. Just sad that the UFC doesn't see my value against the scariest heavyweight in the world. Jan, I guess you're next in line. Hashtag bad business. Hashtag shocked. So yeah, that's referring to the fact that he's in fact going to fight Jan Blachowicz, and it won't be a year or two away for him, like he mentioned earlier on in the evening. So look, here's where I stand on this. Actually, before I continue, John Morgan, one of my favourite journalists when it comes to the fight game, he posted on Patreon an interview that he did with John Jones about all of this. So go on John Morgan's Twitter. Let me tell you guys what it is. John, hey John, how you doing, man? John Morgan. What is his Twitter handle? I mean, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you know who he is. But MMA Junkie John. And you'll see a link to his Patreon, which is, well, this particular article is actually free because he's been furloughed at the minute. So yeah, read that. It's quite a long little article, but it will give you some insight into Jones's thought process. One of the things that John Jones said that I 100% agree with is, excuse me, what is the incentive for him to step up to heavyweight and fight one of the most dangerous men in the organization? Like, what is the incentive if he's not being paid more? Like, why is he taking all of the risk and the burden of responsibility here? Like, the UFC should 100% acknowledge the fact that this guy is putting his undefeated record, and I know he's got a loss on his record, but let's not go there. He's effectively putting his undefeated record on the line. He's stepping into the unknown against the number one contender in the heavyweight division, because after Stipe and Daniel Cormier eventually do fight, there's no question that the guy that deserves the next shot is Francis Ngannou. He's putting all of these things, he's risking all of these things to step into the unknown, fight a big heavyweight. It's not like he's fighting an undersized heavyweight, someone that is slow and someone that doesn't carry power, like a test the water type fight in the heavyweight division. He's stepping up, and he's basically saying, I'm going to fight the fucking lion, the tiger in that division, the guy that nobody wants to fight. There's a lot of risk around that. And the UFC's response to all of this is, well, you know, you'll probably make more money with pay-per-view buys, so you should just be happy with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. Why is the burden of risk all on Jon Jones? The UFC, like, it was widely reported and stated around the time this ESPN deal happened that the UFC pay one of the lowest percentages to their athletes compared to other sporting organizations in the States, you know, whoever, NBA, NFL, probably even the English Premier League, because the wages over here are crazy. They've got the money, you'd assume, to be able to say, you know what, you do deserve a bigger slice for this fight because you're moving up and you're fighting a dangerous opponent. You're not just going in there against a top 10, top 15 guy who we expect you to beat. This is a genuine fight where it's a bit like, well, Jon Jones has got the skills, but does he have the power? Does he have the size to be able to inflict the kind of damage against Francis Ngannou that he did against the light heavyweights in the light heavyweight division? Do you know what I mean? Like I always say this, what makes a fight intriguing and what excites me the most is when there's an element of unknown, where you can see potential for both opponents winning. Do you know what I mean? And this is one of those cases. The one thing that I will say is I'm not really sure whether this is a super fight. I don't really, but then again, I think I'm a little bit strict when it comes to the term super fight. Like for me, a super fight is a fucking super fight. Like Khabib against Ferguson for me was a super fight. Now, if they fight now after what happened against Gaethje, it's no longer a super fight for me. Like for me, there needs to be so many boxes ticked for you to sit there and say this is a super fight, you know. And it just, for me, this Ngannou Jon Jones fight, I don't know, man. I can't, it's a fight that I'm really excited about. If I was going to give it a grade, I'd say it's a B. And Khabib and Ferguson, before Ferguson lost, obviously, that would be a category A. Like, that is a super fight, in my humble opinion. But yeah, look, in this interview that John Morgan did with Jon Jones, I read it this morning and I was half asleep, but I do recall Jon Jones basically saying that they won't even pay me $1 million more. Like, I don't know whether that was just an arbitrary figure that he pulled out of his arse. I've used that phrase quite a bit today because I'm going to post a different video where I've said that as well. But we don't know how the negotiation started. We don't know whether Malky Kawa picked up the phone and said, yeah, we want $3 million more, man. And then the UFC went, go the fuck, and put the phone down. Do you know what I mean? And that means the negotiations didn't even start yet. Like, we don't know how that conversation went. All we have right now is Jon Jones' side of the story. And I do believe that these conversations started before the weekend just gone. Because when Dana White was asked about it during the press conference after the Anthony Smith Glover Teixeira fight, Dana White didn't say... Dana White's reaction was, we'll see if these guys really want this fight. Now, to me, that doesn't mean that he was questioning their heart or he was questioning their how realistic they are being in terms of fighting each other or whether they actually, you know, physically want to get into the cage. I think what he was alluding to there was potentially, and again, obviously, this is just me kind of speculating, conversations that may have already been had. And a big difference between the numbers that the UFC were talking and the numbers that Jon Jones and his people were talking. That's the way I see it, now that this has come out a few days later. But yeah, so it might just be that they've just priced themselves out of it. But I just want to say this. I agree with Jon Jones in terms of he should be paid more to fight Francis Ngannou than he would have got paid if he fights Jan Blachowicz. I don't know what that means in terms of a percentage. I don't know what that means in terms of what his current base pay is. So say he gets $1 million to show now, whether he should get $4 million against Francis. I don't know how this all works, but I just know I think that he deserves more money. But also remember this, Jon Jones has been nothing but a headache over the last few years. And it wasn't long ago we were talking about him and watching videos of him on YouTube fucking fail a sobriety test miserably. Like, he's a liability. This guy's a liability. He was talking about how, oh yeah, I had the DWI, but I've never been in a better place. Well, how many times have we heard you say you've never been in a better place? Like, you need to take some responsibility on your own shoulders. Like, there's only so much goodwill you get. But if you keep fucking up, you're not going to be the go-to guy. You're not going to be the guy that people can trust and say, you know what, this is the guy that I'm going to bank on. Because he'll be there. He'll be there for fight night. We don't know what the fuck you're going to be doing from now. If the fight was to hypothetically get signed to fight night, we don't know if you're going to show up. We don't know if you're going to fail a drugs test. We don't know if you're going to fail a drink driving test. We just don't know. And there's something to be said for that, in my opinion. Like, if you're reliable and as an organization, they know that, all right, if this guy signs on the fucking dotted line, he's going to fight. He's going to be there on fight night. Conor McGregor, for example. John Jones is like, and I totally get that. That is part of his allure as a fighter. That's part of the reason why people gravitate towards him, because there's always something going on. But as an organization, you're booking fights. You want to be safe and comfortable in the knowledge that you're investing millions of dollars in a fight, and you're going to build a card around this specific fight. And if this fight falls through because of an action that you've done outside the octagon, outside the cage, or, you know, outside of training, outside of the sport, the whole arse of the card is going to fall out, basically. And you're left holding the fucking baby, like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. Like that gif from Grand Theft Auto. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, these are just my opinions at the moment. That they can and probably will change. I'd love to hear Dana White's side on this, and I hope he does speak up soon, because he's not a man that minces his words. But I'd like to see what the UFC side of the argument is here. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, what are your thoughts? What do you guys think? Do you think that John Jones should take this fight just for legacy, like get paid the same and take it for legacy? Do you think he's right in saying, you know what, why should I take this extra risk if you're not going to pay me anymore? I'll just fight Jan Blachowicz. That's fine. I don't really care. Do you get it? What are your thoughts? Put your opinions below. Again, don't be scared to hit the like button. Share this with a friend if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go in the description of this video. You'll see a long list of different links to my podcast, and just click on the one that applies to you. Whatever application you use to listen to your podcast, click there, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.